looks like. So you would just choose add an AP exam, and you will say if you're completed it already or if you're planning to take it. And so if you're planning to take it, choose the planned option, and it will ask you which year and which month around are you planning to take. But if you've completed, you can say completed and report it. Basically over here, you would say the month and the year that you've completed it, and then which type of exam, and you would go through the section and choose the one that you've taken. As of now, let's say I've taken Spanish already, and so it will ask if you've taken your score or not. And based on that, once you've received your score, you can always press yes and enter your score. Once you enter your score, you just hit save and continue. You will always want to save and continue, so that is how it will save the progress as you go along. And now you can see that it has added mine already. And if at any point you have to maybe edit it or delete it, the options are right here for you as well. I hope that's clear. And if you've not taken an AP exam before, that's completely fine. You can always just report no, hit save and continue, and go to the next step. And then now I'll go to the next step. Now it asks for IB exams, pretty much very much similar as what we did for AP exams. You basically report if it's yes, you say yes, and if you have not taken, say no. Let's just say I've taken it yes, and again the same process. You add the IB exam. You say if you've completed it or not. You choose the month and the year that you've taken it in, and then you choose your exam area, and then you say what level it was. And then again, like I said, each time you want to hit save and continue. And once you've done that, if there's any errors or if it likes you to make any changes, it will always let you know. So make sure you look out for that. So you say continue working or skip this page for now. And once you do so, you'll always want to come back and make sure that you fill that out. So right here, I filled that out. And let's say I put one in and it asks for my scores. I put my score in, and that's good. I'm done with this page. I save and continue, and I see that it's already added, and then I can just go on to save and continue again. So this has saved my IB exam scores, and now on to the next page. So the process is very similar for each and every one of it. Over here, it's going to ask me if I've taken any English language proficiency tests. This could be TOEFL, IELTS, it could be SAT, anything. And as you've seen already, I've had SAT, so I've put that in there. And this is something that I plan to take, so I put in as planned for next year. And similarly, you would follow the same steps, and you would include your test type, say TOEFL over here, and then you'd say add test. And then again, you would say either you've completed it or you planned it. Let's say I've completed it, and let's say I've done it in February of last year, and you put in your registration number, you put in your scores if you've received it. Again, if you don't have it now, and if at any point you think you'll get it before the application, you can always come back and edit it and input it then. So again, let's go ahead and see what they ask for. So they ask for different category scores. You just put all of those in, and then you also have the option to retake it, and if you're at any point going to retake it, you can always say yes or no, and then you basically hit save and continue. Again, like I said, if there's errors, it will let you know. You can always work on them and then go to the next step. For now, I'll skip it as you get the idea, and we'll go to the international exam section. So for the international exam section, again, same process. This is again asking if you've taken any exams out of the country, and if you want to report them, you can always put them in over here. And for now, let's say I did it, and it asks you the type of the exam. You'll basically add that relevant exam as you see over here. And again, there's also another option. If you think there's another exam that you've taken, but it's not over here, you can always use that other option and describe the exam and such as well. So let's say this for now. And there you go. It asks you the grade scale, and it asks you to report it based on that. And once you report it, complete it, you can always hit save and continue, and then go to the next step. All right, let's go to the next step. Let's hit save and continue. And all right, here is the page of international exams. Now that it's seen my progress, it wants me to save and continue. Always save and continue again. And let's go to review section. Now this is I like this page because it literally gives you an overview of what you've entered at each step. So this point, you can go through every exam score that you've entered. And if you think you've missed something, you can always go back to that section and add it. And so as you can see, everything that I've reported is over here. And I think it also gives you the tutor option, which is really great because it shows you that there's more. Hey, you need to put more information over there. So you can always go to that page and add more information. So this is how the exam section looks like. And that's basically most of the exam information where you'll be entering on the application. And let's continue to the activities and awards. So this is basically where you'll report any kinds of activities you've done in your community college or even in high school. Mostly it's usually when you've taken, community college, they look for mostly community college experience as well. If you want to report any high school awards, you can feel free and put that in as well. Over here, I've started with a work experience that I've included. Basically, similar thing is it will ask you a couple of details as to where you worked, what was the organization, what was your position over there. It'll ask you to describe what you did and what the actual organization was about, and it'll ask you an estimate of when you were there. So that is like the brief overview, but let me show you how it actually looks while I add it over here. So right here, I'm saying add another activity or award. It will give you an option to choose from one of these. And again, these activities could be a wide range. Some of you might have work experience, some of you might have volunteering, you might have club experience, you might have leadership experiences. You want to include all of those. They're all really great experience, so don't miss adding those. Let's say for now I have an extracurricular activity, and this can be related to the club. So if I want to say this is something like a club, I would say it's maybe an honor society club, or you could, it was a club related to your major, anything you want to include it over there. And then this is basically a great place where you can explain what you did in that position. And this will help people basically know what your role looked like and what you were doing in that position and what you learned out of it. So it's very important to take this opportunity to mention anything that you think is relevant to the role. So for instance, you could say, I took on a leadership experience as a secretary for my honor society club. And then you can start including what you did in your role and how that impacted as well and what you learned out of it. And so they give you a good chunk of 350 characters to share what you think you can share. So please put in that information over here. And then they also ask when you participated in this activity. So like I mentioned, you could include your high school activities, and you could also include something in your community college. For this instance, I did it in community college, so we would say after my 12th grade. And so now it will ask you, how long have you been part of it? I was part of it for, say, 1 year and 0 months. So that's what I would include it. It can also vary. You can say, if you've been there for 6 months, it will give you those options. And so once you've entered that, it will say how many hours you spent per week. So now club meetings are usually an hour, and then secretary work is an hour. So if you add that in, I must have spent 2 hours per week. And so that's what I report there. And when you say weeks spent per year, this again is determined based on how many weeks you spent in your semester type system. So you would always input that in there. Let's say I spent 16 weeks times 4. You would input that in. So once you do that, you'll basically hit save and continue. And again, it's not that you have to include everything at once. Like I said, this is a working page where you can keep working on it and hit save and go to the next steps. So I would suggest taking your time and doing these steps, so that will really help person reading it know more about you. And then once you finish one of it, you can always save and continue. Skip that if you don't want to include any more information right now, but you want to do it later. And then you can always start adding another one as well. As you can see, I skipped it for now. It shows me an exclamation, so I know I have to include more information there, so you can always come back to it. And now, again, you will always go back doing the same things, add another activity, and you'll basically add all the things that you've done. And once you've done that, you can hit I've finished adding. You're like, I'm done. I put in every information. Once you hit I've finished adding all the activities, it will directly take you to the review page. And if there's anything right now, like you see, there's still things that you need to put in, it will let you know. So make sure you fill out everything thoroughly. And then over here in the review page, this is again where you get an overview of everything that you filled out. So you basically check each and everything, you check if everything is right. And like I said, if there's more things to fill out, it will again show you to do. So it will not let you do anything if you don't fill it out. It will say, please do it. So always you can come back to this and fill it out later. So that's basically the whole activities and awards section. And I think I'll pass it over to Iman to go over the next steps.
I'm just going to chime in before we do that. One other thing that I'd like to go over with everybody is for the educational prep programs. So if you can go back to adding that in, everybody in this room should be adding the Transfer Opportunity Program as an educational prep program that you're a part of, because by taking part in this workshop, you are participating in TOP. So everyone wants to make sure to include that. So if you can just walk us through that, Subha.
Thank you for mentioning that, Lisa.
Yes.
So educational prep programs, these are very relevant to your experience as well. If you've taken, opportunities like TOP, we want to hear that, right? So please make sure to always input that information under educational prep program. So over here, it shows you a wide range of programs that are available, and you can always find any relevant programs that you've been part of. And right here, you can see there's UCD Transfer Opportunity Program. That's what you're part of right now. And that's a good thing. You will always want to include that. And once you include that, it will give you an option to briefly describe what the program was about. You can always talk about what the program was a little, but more of include what you got out of it. What was your experience like? What were the workshops you attended? You can say, oh, I've attended these Thursday webinars. I've attended these roundtable PIQ workshops. You can always include all of that information in this box. So please make use of that wisely. And then you can also include, again, when you participated. This is something you're doing in community college. You'll say after 12th grade. And how many years and months. Again, this is an estimate of when you got into the program, when you started it, and how long you've been using it for. You can always include that in this section so they know and are aware of how long you've been part of the program. And again, hours spent and weeks spent per year, these are dependent on person to person. You know how much you've committed to the program, how many webinars you've attended. So if you are able to keep track of that, or if you're able to have a good estimate of, okay, I know these many hours are what I spent, or these many weeks are what I spent, you can put that in there and again hit save and continue. So this is again a great way to let them know if you've been participating in any of the programs that are related to educational prep programs. And again, it doesn't just have to be TOP. There's a lot of other programs that are offered at maybe different UCs, and you could be taking opportunities like that. You will always want to search that down here and include it. And so yeah, once you do that, you'll hit save and continue, and then you'll move on to the adding next activities and such. For now, let me go ahead and leave, and I think I'll pass it on to Iman.
So just one other thing before we move on, I've been seeing a lot of questions in the chat, and just in case people weren't reading up on all of that, asking about putting in high school coursework. So yes, definitely include all of it. The more that you can put in here, the more to your benefit. If it's an overwhelming amount of things, you can choose what's most relevant, most important to you. But yes, it's definitely all helpful. So include it all. And then I've been seeing other questions coming up back in the test scores. Do you have to include them? And yes, regardless of when you took them, we do need you to report those exams if you did take them. And even if the scores are less than 3, you should still report them. It's not going to hurt you though. There's absolutely nothing you can put in these areas that would harm you in any way. We just need to have the correct information to match up to your records. So that's why we need it all, even if it's less than scores and less than 3, but it won't do any damage to your opportunities for admission. So I just wanted to clarify those things for everybody, because I've gotten a few questions about that. But yeah, now we can move on, unless if there are more questions, I want to, just take a moment to have a breather. If there are questions that people wanted to ask still about test scores or activities, before we move on to the next section, I want to give you that opportunity. So, please raise your hand if you have a question, or put it in the chat. Otherwise, we will move forward. Question: I took a STEM summer workshop with UC Davis in junior high that was supposed to help with admittance. Should I include it? So we're not going all the way back to prior to the 9th grade. So if this was before 9th grade, then that wouldn't be something to include in this. But anything 9th grade and beyond, yes. I don't think I took the SAT. Is that going to affect my application? No, not at all. Those are actually not test scores that we use in the transfer application. So no SAT, no ACT to report in this application. We are only looking for AP, IB, and international exams. That's it. Any other questions before we move on to the next section? Can I add over 20 activities? I'm not sure if it stops you at some point, to be honest. I don't know if there's a specific amount. I would say, put in what's most important and relevant to you, and, prioritize those first. Things that you have the most involvement in. I took AP exams over 20 years ago, and I've taken college coursework to replace said credit. I don't even know my scores. Do I need to send for those scores from College Board? So yeah, contact College Board and see if there's still a record of it. Then yes, we're going to need those. You would report the AP exams and also the college courses. Will determine whether or not, if it's duplicative, but a lot of times we can give you credit for both. So, it's beneficial to have those scores. So yes, you would want to contact College Board and get a copy of that record so that you can import that information. Do we put in all activities, however brief they were, like helping out at a community center for a few weekends, etc.? Yes, you can put everything in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge exhaustive list. If you don't think that it was anything particularly relevant, you don't have to put it in. But, nothing that you put in there can hurt. It can only benefit. So, I would say put as much as you can think of that you believe is relevant. But, if you did a 1 hour thing once, no, I don't think that's, worth putting in there. But, anything that you were involved in, I would say go ahead and put it in. But if it's getting overwhelming and it's so much stuff, choose what's most important to you. Yeah, and unlike, exam scores, for example, activities and awards, it's not required that you report everything. Exam scores and your the courses you've taken, grades you received, all of that stuff that's on your transcripts, that's all required. But the activities and awards is just extra to benefit you. So do what you think is best there. Any other questions? Okay, well, I think we can move on now to scholarships and programs. So Iman, go ahead and take it away for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Hello everyone, this is Iman. I'm gonna go over scholarships and programs for you guys. To apply for scholarship for the first year, it's really easy. You get a list of options that you can apply from here. These are randomly selected and you all will get the same options. So don't worry if you don't qualify for any of these, since like you have other options for scholarships that you can apply to. And also there's FAFSA, there's California Dream Act, that you can apply to as well to get free money. You know, who doesn't want free money? I know I do. Anyway, so let's go through like the categories. So the first one is academic major or interest. So for me, I put pre-med because my major is biological science. So this is the only one that I qualify from here, but if somebody is like agricultural economics, you could pick that. If you have a hobby in dairying and you think you're gonna pursue that, you can also pick that. It depends on your major or your interest. After that, it's affiliation with groups, programs, and organizations. This depends on if you're affiliated with Alpha Gamma Rho. You can choose like different, you can also choose more than one in each category. So if you served in the US Army, you could put veteran. If you took part in Oakland Promise program while in high school, you can pick that. But if you did not do anything in any category, you could just leave that. So since I didn't do anything in this category, I'm just gonna not put anything there. Ancestry and descendants. So this one is talking about your background. So you could see that there's some well-known people, I believe, that you could put like your descendant of them. If you were if you were foster child raised by a single parent, or if you were a son or daughter of former Sigma Pi Epsilon, I believe, you could put that. But if you don't qualify for any category in here, you can just close this and move on to career plans. For career plans, for me, I want to go into medicine, so that's what I picked. But if you want to do agriculture, there's teaching, research, or public services. I think I would do research as well, so I'm going to pick that as well. If you have interest in school nutrition programs or consumer food education, if you're a wildlife habitat conservation and restoration, or if you're interested in anything that combines arts and STEMs, you can pick that as well. These will qualify for you for different scholarships that are going to be applied to your FAFSA like already when you get the whole program for it. And then after that, we're gonna go, so I'm gonna close that since it's big, and then we're gonna go to ethnicities. So for me, I put that I'm first or second generation Asian American, but you can pick any category that is that you belong to. Or if you don't want to say anything in here, you could just not put anything and close it. And then extracurricular. For me, I put that I helped in community education since I was a tutor. And again, you can add that as like work experience in the previous part that Suba went over, but you can also press this since you get scholarships through that. And then leadership and extracurricular activities. If you have taken part in anything that you think shows that you are leadership, you show leadership experience or extracurricular activities, you should put that. If you did community service. Other than that, let's see. And then if you qualify for anything, family circumstances and relationships, you can put this. So first generation college student, gay or lesbian student, single parent, student is enrolled in a U.S. federally recognized tribe or nation, students who have parent guardians who had ALS or neurodegenerative diseases. You can also press that here. Health and disabilities. The students who are hard of hearing, students who have experienced leukemia, cancer, or during adolescence, students who have preserved through difficult life circumstances to achieve educational goals, student with physical handicap or disability. You can pick more than one options or one if you qualify for any. And then school or geographic affiliation. So attended secondary school in China, California born, if you're from Sacramento or Yolo County, and if you're interested in majors agriculture and environmental science, if you are from like a small town or open country, if you graduated from California high school, and these are the list of the high schools that they have given. If you have graduated from California high school from these places, graduated from any Bakerfield high school, grew up on a farm or child of farmers, played on basketball team at a certain college, Yuba Community College. Student of Marin County, student from Sacramento, since who have resided in California while attending high school. I will click that since I resided in California while attending high school, so I would put that. And that's the only thing I qualify for this one, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then transfer student. If you're a mature person returning to college after absence of at least 5 years, you can press this option. And if you're a re-entry student that are returning to a UC school, you will press that. And then make sure you press save and continue to go to the next part. In here, it talks about EOP. Yes, Lisa.
So just to clarify, re-entry student is not a student who is returning. Re-entry actually means a student who is 25 or older. So that is the definition of re-entry. So if you are 25 or older, you can check off that re-entry box in that last one.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, it's not a very intuitive term, but that's what it means.
For this one, you can press for EOP, which is a support program that provides assistance through mentorship, academic programs, and financial assistance, as well as counseling, advising, and other campus support for first-generation students and low-income students. So I would press that, and then it will give you a little place to write a paragraph of why you're interested in EOP. For me, I remember I wrote about how I was first-generation college student, and I resided in California for 2 years, and it was really hard for me to like communicate with people and like talk to people and get like advice. So that helped me a lot to get into this program, since they do help you and they have activities that you could go. You can always go to the counseling if you're confused. So I will press that. Oops. And then you will make sure to save and continue. It won't let me continue since I did not put anything in that section. So I will go to the next section. This is where you will review what scholarship categories you clicked on. So as you can see, I pressed on all these, so it will show up in here. Make sure that you check through these again, since you don't want to miss any opportunity of getting a scholarship, and read through every category carefully. And then after, you will go to personal insight questions. Since we have time, I think we can go over them. Right, Lisa?
Yeah, but let's just take a pause first.
Okay.
And let people ask questions. So if there are any more questions about anything we've talked about so far, please either raise your hand or put your question in the chat before we move forward. Jessica.
Yes, I have a question about the scholarship and activity. Like, if I'm not that major, can I also tick the box about this major scholarship?
Iman, can you go back into the scholarships part and we can see what it is that you're asking about? Can you kind of
Like,
academic major or interest? And so your question is, can you check the box if you're not that major?
Yes.
If it's something that you're interested in studying, you could still check that box. Like maybe it's something you want to take classes in or do a minor in. it's okay to check it if it's not your major, if it is an area of interest for you. But if it's not something that, you know, you have any interest in, it's not your major, you're not planning on studying that, then don't select it.
I believe there's some other questions in the chat. Somebody said that, so then it appears that they aren't offering a scholarship for, I believe, man-econ major.
So if it's not listed specifically, then no. So these are just areas that there are specific scholarships for that we can potentially review students for. So if managerial economics is your major and it's not there, then you know you wouldn't select anything unless if one of these other areas interest you as well. So a lot of times managerial economics majors are interested in agribusiness economics or agricultural economics. Those are pretty common interests for students who are managerial economics. That might be something that interests you. So just read through them. If any of them are interesting to you, things you may want to study, that would be, you know, something you could include. But otherwise, if it's not there and there isn't anything that pertains to you, then just leave it blank. For the scholarship section, it really is, you can add as much or as little. You just need to read through and see what is applicable to you personally. Question about, should I put enjoyable activities down like paddleboarding, painting, travel, camping? So I would say if it's something that you spend a lot of time doing, it's a real passion of yours, you can include it in the activities. So if it's like you spend, you know, 2 hours a week painting, that would be something that I would put in the activities section, for example. So yeah, you can go ahead and include it. You know, I wouldn't, if it's getting to a point where it's an overwhelming amount of things, those types of things I wouldn't say are like as much of a priority as maybe other things that you're doing, then, you know, you don't have to include them. But yeah, I think those are appropriate as well. Any more questions before we start talking about tips for the personal insight questions? Is being an experienced seller on an online marketplace an extracurricular activity? So I would say that that's probably more like work experience because you're earning money doing that. So I would list that under, you know, like work that you've had. Any other questions? Okay. Just saw one. Osher Foundation Scholarship for students transferring from California Community College. Is this just a scholarship we are interested in, or do we have to already be associated with the foundation? So Iman, can you go back to pulling that one up?
Let me see. I believe it's gonna be.
I think you can open in the transfer student section. I think that
Oh.
might be what the Osher Foundation related would be at the bottom.
I think it's just two options there. Oh, I think right here, right here. Oh no. maybe right here. Let's see. Talking about. Oh, maybe
Oh, is that where it was? Affiliation with a group, program, or organization?
I think so.
I don't see it.
In the foundation.
Not sure. Tanya, if you want to clarify where you saw that particular
It was, they
scholarship
said
list?
it was in transfer.
It was
I
in,
saw it in transfer student section on my side. I still see it on my side for some reason.
Really? Oh,
okay, let me look on mine. Or Suba, if you want to pull yours up.
yeah, you can share your screen.
Yeah, I can share my screen. I see it on my side.
Let me stop sharing.
Yep, I hope you can see it. It's right here.
Yeah, so that's open to anybody
Mm.
if you're transferring from a California community college. Yeah, so I'm not sure why Iman's was different. Maybe you didn't select junior level transfer, Iman. I'm not sure.
I did, but I think maybe since I didn't add like all the information for classes.
Oh, yeah, maybe some things where maybe it's intuitive as to what you've been
Yeah.
putting in.
I think only the transfer student section because everything else seemed the same. Oh, somebody said they can't see it either, so.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's my best guess as well, is that it's an intuitive application. So it's giving you options based on things that you have already put in. So that's the best guess that I have.
Let me share my screen again.
Yeah, sorry, Sarah, I'm not sure. Maybe it has to do with specific community colleges. That could be another one. So it may depend on like what community college you're coming from. Would be another guess that I have. I'm just not sure. Okay, any last questions? All right, well, let's start talking about the PIQs then.
All right, let me open that. So personal insight questions are to know you better and know your life experiences and inspirations. So there's a few tips that are presented right here. Present your information and ideas in a focused, thoughtful manner. Make a list of accomplishment, activity, of words or work that will lessen the impact of your words. Use specific concrete examples to support the points you want to make, and focus on your examples. So a really helpful tip for that is what I learned is show, not tell. So you want to show them with like your examples rather than just like stating what you did, because we want to know how it impacted you. So try to like connect it to your present self, your past experiences to your present self, to show us how it changed you and what you learned from it and how that will help you in your experience at a UC. So the next point is tell us about yourself and your personal challenges, leadership opportunities, and experiences outside of the classroom, which is really important because we want to see what you learned from any classes you took, any events that you did, any leadership experiences. We also want to make sure that you're not repeating the same experience over and over again in every question. So make sure that you're picking every question really important, that you don't pick the same questions, or a question that you have the similar experience for. Pick a question that you have other things to talk about. Like maybe you talked about the thing in activities, so try to pick another question that have other related information that you could present to a UC. Use your own voice. This is a really important one. A lot of time people use the statements with we, us. Make sure you're using the statements with I and my in your responses, because this is your response. So you need to talk about yourself, not about your family. I mean, you can include it, but don't go on and on about something that's not about you and doesn't define you as a person. And then try to relax. There are many pieces of information we consider in reviewing your application, and it will solely not, it's solely not based upon your responses. So take a breather, take a walk. All right, so you'll need to answer 4 questions, and 1 of the questions is required and 3 are your choices. So the one that's required is describing how you have prepared for your intended major, including your readiness to succeed in your upper division courses once you enroll at the university. For this one, you can talk about any major classes that you took that are related to your major, any activities like maybe you worked in a lab, maybe you worked at a job that qualifies as something that is related to your major, and how it's going to help you in the future at the university taking the upper division courses. And then other 3 questions that you can pick are, out of all these, yes, Lisa.
So I just want to go back to the major question. I did see some questions in the chat about this one too. So for this, what's really important is that you give us information that we can't see in other parts of your application. So, you know, I've seen often students will end up addressing this question by saying, you know, I took this class and I got this grade. That isn't beneficial to you because we can already see that in your educational history. So you're not giving us any new information there. So as Iman was saying, you know, you want to use other types of examples, like whether it's work experience that relates to it, perhaps an internship, maybe you've done some research in the area of your major, or maybe you're involved in a club or organization that pertains to your major. Even if you don't have any of those other things, you know, tie it back to maybe a project that you've done in your class. So you can give us examples of what you've learned and how, you know, that's helped to prepare you. But just saying I took this class and I got this grade isn't helpful, because we can see it in another part of your application. So I hope that helps.
Oh, another important thing is make sure it falls in your word limit, that is 350 words. Because if you're doing it on a Word document or any other document, if you copy and paste everything more than 350 words, it's gonna get cut off. So make sure everything you're writing falls between, like, under 350 words, and it ends at 350 words, or it will be like you will end with half sentences. Another 3 questions. You have to pick any 3 questions out of these 7 questions that can talk about your leadership experience. So the first question is about your an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. In this application, you can in this question you can talk about maybe like a work experience that counts as leadership experience, and then you can talk about maybe how there was dispute and your work environment and how you contributed. The next question is about every person has a creative side. It can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovative thinking, artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. And let's go over the third question. What would you say is your greatest talent or skill? Make sure that if you're doing these two questions, you don't use the same information in both of them. Try to use like a different question if you have the same information for both of these questions. Let's go over question 4. Describe how you have taken advantage of significant educational opportunity or work to overcome an educational barrier that you have faced. It could be either during the pandemic, since COVID happened, a lot of people were going through some stuff, so you can talk about that in here. Describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge, and how has this challenge affected your academic achievement. The next question is, what have you done to make your school or community a better place? And the last question is, beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you a strong candidate for admissions to UC? These are all the questions. Let me go and show you how to answer them. So you will put answer, and then you can either write in this paragraph right here, or you can paste it through any other document that you're using, probably like Google document or Microsoft Word, and you can copy and paste it here. Make sure that it falls under 350 words, and then you press save and continue. Since I didn't put anything, I will just press that, and then in the end, it will give you another part where you can talk about any additional information that you want to give to the administration. It could talk about either an unusual personal or family circumstances that you have been through, or anything unclear in your application that you wanna touch back on. And in the end, you will give a review, and you will see all the information that you put in all of them. Since I did not put any information in personal insight questions and additional comments, it's still telling me to do. But since you guys have already completed, you can do continue and review, and then it'll show you all the application that you have completed with everything in it. Lisa, do you have anything else to add for the personal insight?
Just one last thing about the additional comments. So it's not meant to be an extension of your personal insight questions. So this isn't a space to, if you use your 350 words to, continue that answer, or, to answer another PIQ because you want to answer one more. That's not what this is for. So it really is just to explain anything that there really wasn't anywhere else for you to discuss in the application that you feel is important that we know, or to clarify information. So that's what we're looking for there, but you don't have to put anything in there. It's totally fine if you have, nothing additional to put in. But yeah, we are almost at time. So we've got 5 more minutes. So we'll just take these last few questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up at 6. So Francis.
Hi, in here, would you want to explain like your gaps, like if you took a semester or 2 off or not? Should you explain why that is, even though it kind of was explained a little bit, but I think it only gave like a couple of sentences. Is that okay, or should you explain a little more here?
So the application will prompt you specifically for gaps in education. So that's where you would want to explain those. Those don't need to be long answers. The reason that we ask for an explanation in gap in education is so that it's clear to us that we're not missing any academic information. So, whatever you put in that gap in education, just make it really clear that you were not enrolled in school. That's the purpose of those questions. So if it was, I took time off to work, I wasn't enrolled in school at the time, that's fine. Or I took time off for my mental health, or whatever it is, you can just make it clear that you weren't in school. But if you think that there is really important information that isn't anywhere else in the application, things that you were doing during that gap in education, then yeah, you could put that in the additional comments.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Stephen.
Hi, so I've been getting some conflicting advice regarding the fact that I took a research internship. And on the one hand, I've had counselors tell me that the UC system loves research internships, and I should include a lot of the details of the research that I did. But at the same time, when I've shown my essays that I've written that do include a lot of the details of that scientific research, some people say that it's like I have two different versions. And one, I talk more personally about what I did in the internship specifically and how that internship affected me. And then in another version, I talk about the actual science of the research, and I get different feedback that one essay is too cold and is just full of jargon that someone that's not in that major can't really follow as well. But I'm worried that the one that's a bit more personal just doesn't really dive into the work that I did.
So just from hearing what you've said so far, I would say probably the one that's more personal is the more appropriate one, because the people who are reading it are people like me. We don't understand the science. We don't know the jargon. So if you're getting into a lot of nitty gritty details about what it is that you are doing, we're not going to understand. So you want to approach it as somebody, talk like you're talking to somebody who knows nothing about what this is. If you want to explain some of those things that you're doing and you have the space to provide an explanation that anyone could understand, regardless if they have any knowledge of that type of work, then that would be the way to approach it. So just remember who your audience is, because we don't understand all of that technical information.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I think we're going to be at the last question with Esha, because we are just at about 6 o'clock.
So I asked this in the breakout room, but I double checked to make sure I was filling out the correct application. I am filling out the fall 2024 application, and my major is still showing as closed. So what should I do?
It sounds like it's coming down to applicant level. And if you choose junior level, everything is open to you. Students should only be picking sophomore level if you have less than 60 semester units of transferable coursework. That will limit what's open to you. Or if you pick senior level, and that would be if you're at 90 or 105 units or more. But if you've only attended community college, you can never be a senior. If you it's very specific how we determine who's senior. If you have to have 4-year coursework, and then it depends on the type of coursework. So most people are going to be junior level, and if you choose junior level, it's going to have everything open to you.
Okay.
If you are concerned that you may be a senior, or not sure, what your applicant level is, follow up with your top advisor directly, and they would, we could take a look at your records and help you figure that out.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna take this one last question on, and then we are going to close out.
Hi. So in the breakout room, Mr. Fabian said he can hold me one-on-one in the breakout room, but I can't really find his breakout room.
He's probably in a room right now. I can look and see. He might be in the breakout at the moment, and that would be why, if he's with another student. Yeah, he's talking to somebody else. So
He said I can join whenever he's done with that students, but I can't really see his room or
He'll have to come get you. He'll come get you when he comes back.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can take just, I'll go ahead and look at these questions that came in the chat. But everybody is welcome to go. We are wrapped up, unless if you have a few last things that you need to stay on for. But we are going to be closing out this section after Fabian is finishing up in his breakout rooms.
I do have question, but like mine is kind of personal. That's why actually he just asked me to join the breakout room. Never mind. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. I don't think I missed any questions in the chat, but if anybody's left hanging in that I missed something, you can go ahead and let me know now.
Should I wait here for Fabian? Because he told me that he would talk to me as well. Unless you have time, I don't think it really matters who I talk to, but I just have some questions on that didn't get handled last time.
Yeah, if it's a personal question, we are just wrapping up everything. I want to make sure I'm here to just wrap it up, but I am happy.
Sure, no, not a problem. I just don't want to, I want to get these questions answered so that I can let that go and not have to worry about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also have a few questions. They're not personal, so I'm comfortable like sharing them here if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so first, this is from like a section that wasn't reviewed during this session, but last time, it's about like the starting date for like when I started at community college. So I did take some community college classes over the summer in high school. Like in a few summers, like only not fall or spring, but I was wondering if I should like put as the starting date when I first started taking classes in the summer of high school, or if I should put the starting date as when I graduated high school and first started taking community college classes as a college student.
Yes, so it's when you very first started taking classes. So if that was when you were in high school, that is your start date.
Okay, and I figured that was the case. So like when I changed the date, so after I imported everything from TAP onto the application, I realized that the date was wrong. So I changed it, and it like warned me that it would delete a lot of like coursework or something, but I had to change it. So I just did it anyway. And it did end up deleting my coursework. So I was wondering, like, can I import TAP again to fix that?
I think so. Yeah. Is it correct on your TAP?
Yeah, it is. It's correct.
I think you can. I'm not 100% sure, but I would try. If it lets you do it, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to go in and fix everything.
Okay. And also I had a question about the activities and awards section. So I volunteered at the public library near my house, and I did a few separate things there. I taught a class there, and I also was a homework tutor there. So should I list those separate activities like separately, or just put them both under one post where I just put the place that I worked for or volunteered at was the library?
I would just put it under one, and then there's a little area for you to describe what you did, and you can put both information in there.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lisa, I don't mind asking the questions in front of people either.
Okay. It is being recorded, just so you know. If
Oh,
you're
I don't
able to-
care. Doesn't bother me.
Okay.
All right, so I wasn't able to do the minimum requirements when in the last session we did last week because my coursework, there was a lot of problems in it that I had to fix. So I fixed it all so I could move on. So one of the questions is, prior to transfer, will you have satisfied the entry-level writing requirements?
Mhm.
How do I know if I will have satisfied that or not?
Yeah, it's satisfied by your English composition. So if you have those minimum English composition courses, then it's satisfied.
I got that. Okay. Okay, and then prior to transfer, will you be certified for completion of the IGETC basically? I don't think that's what I'm following. But I basically I'm gonna have my AA in English from Sac City, and I will have all the articulation agreement classes between Sac City and UC Davis completed. But I don't know if that means a GETC or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, IGETC is a specific pattern of coursework that you can take at your community college to cover general education. We don't require it for admission. It would be a question for your community college if you're doing IGETC. If you're not, you can just leave that unchecked. If you are, then go ahead and check it off. But if you have it, it's definitely, worth getting that certified, and that certification would be sent in, later on down the line if you end up getting admitted and commit to us. That's where you would send in the certification, and then we would just say your GE's done. You don't have to take any more. So I would talk to them and see, because sometimes it's also a matter of like, oh, well, if you just take this one other class in the spring or change your schedule just slightly, you can get it done. So it's worth checking in.
I will. I'll put that on my high priority list.
Yeah, but not required, so you don't have to have it.
Okay, and then it says transferable college courses. Prior to transfer, you need to complete the 7-course pattern. If these courses are completed with grade of C or better, you will fulfill the transfer college course requirement. But it doesn't list anything there. There's no yes or no. There's no list of anything. Unless after it, when it talks about college/university English composition, is that part of the 7-course course pattern?
Yeah, when it goes over like the 2 English that you've completed, that's 7-course pattern. The 1 math, that's 7-course pattern. And then there are 4 other courses from at least 2 of 3 areas: arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, and physical and biological sciences that cover it.
Okay, it didn't pick up any other classes other than the math and the 2 college classes.
Yeah, I believe that's all that the system looks for specifically. So that's fine.
So does that, I mean, if it didn't pick up those other courses, does that mean I'm not doing the 7-course pattern thing?
No, I don't think, I'm trying to look in mine and see. I don't think it actually lists those. Oh, it's making me sign in again.
I know, that's what I keep having to do too, because I'm not in it enough. Because I mean, I know right now I'm taking the biology and lab, but it didn't pop up. And I'm not sure. Seemed like when I was in the tab,
it only pops up in the English and the math, so it's fine.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so I'm good there. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see it on our ends when we're reviewing your stuff.
Okay, and then okay, that's additional. Okay, that's all done. Okay, so one thing that I noticed in my transcript from Solano Community College, in one semester, and the
Oh,
application picked.
actually, sorry, just to back up, I'll show you what it, going back to that 7-course pattern, what it looks like
Oh, cool.
in the application.
Okay.
So, oops. Am I showing the right thing?
Right now it's, I'm just seeing University of California. This is like whoever was on this screen earlier is what's still up here.
Does it show, do you see college, university mathematics, and then below that college, university courses in other areas?
No, this is in the personal insight or additional comments is what's up here right now.
I think we're seeing Iman's screen. Iman, do you want to stop screen sharing?
Yeah, it's her screen, I think.
Okay. Okay, just, where was I? Changed my view.
I know it's like, now where was that at?
Yeah.
Oh, it was,
Okay, here we go.
it's in minimum requirements.
So, minimum requirements, it will say in here, based on the courses you reported in your academic history section, you have at least 4 courses in 2 of the subject areas. So if you have it and it recognizes it, that's what it'll say.
Got it. Let me go see what that says. Okay, based on your first report, you have at least 4 courses in the 2 subject areas. Okay, perfect. So then I do have it. Okay, that's perfect. So then, in my my transcript, it had 2 classes, the same class listed twice, one with a credit and one with a withdraw. And I'm pretty certain if I had it gave me credit for it that I did finish it. So I just deleted the withdraw one, but I thought, oh, I better ask somebody because it's kind of odd that the transcript showed up like that.
It
That's
doesn't
good.
delete the withdrawal, so you want to report it as it is on your transcript. So you would report both the W and the credit.
Well, the application, it was telling me it was an error. You got the same class listed in the same term. So it was kind of like the way that I was reading it, I felt like it was telling me you had to get rid of one of them.
Were they both listed in the same term on your transcript?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was the craziest thing. I didn't even notice it. I've just put everything in there. So let me see.
Was it like,
But you should still put it just exactly as it is on your transcripts. It's possible where you may be in one at one school and another at another school within your same district.
or if it was like it was the same term, but maybe session 1 of the fall semester and then session 2 of the second, of the fall semester.
No, it's none of that. You need to stop.
Oh,
I've got my dog tearing up a dog bed down here on the floor.
oh, good.
See, let me find where this is at because it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, the application will let you continue and will let you submit. So if that's really what it is, and you have a withdraw and a credit within the same term, report what's on the application.
So then go ahead and go in and add the second one because it was in there and there was all this red stuff around it saying acting like I couldn't do it. You can't list the same class in the same semester twice.
I'm pretty sure it will let you still submit even if it has errors, but if it's just warning you, like, hey, this doesn't look right.
Okay. So go ahead and leave it.
Go ahead and leave it. If what I'm telling you is wrong and somehow it's preventing you from submitting it, then what I would do is take out the W and put it in a comment that on my transcript.
An additional comment. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not, the system wouldn't let me report it because they're both in the same term.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that sounds like a great idea. All right, and I think, let's see. Okay. You know what? That's all I can remember right now. I've just spent 7 hours of classes back to back and then this, so my brain's kind of fried. So I'll just reach out to Jackie if I come across anything else, but that was the most pertinent things I needed to wrap up. So thank you guys so much. You did an amazing job again, as usual.
You're
And
welcome.
you guys have a beautiful and blessed evening, okay?
Thank you. You have a great evening as well, Julie.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Question, something from Francis that we missed. Okay.
I can read it out loud, Lisa. I have it. It says, I have a question about admissions. How does the cutoff work? How does the cutoff work since you cannot admit everyone to, I'm assuming the UC? If someone is not admitted, how do you determine who will go into the wait list? Great question.
Yeah, so that completely depends on the applicant pool. So if you are meeting the requirements to apply, I say definitely apply. You should apply if you are, at those minimums. I highly encourage anyone who's meeting the minimums to apply. We can't predict what's going to happen. It all depends on what our applicant pool looks like, how much space we have, what majors people are applying to. There are so many factors. Sometimes students who are not offered admission are offered the option to be on the wait list, and then they can let us know that they want to be on the wait list. And then if we have space after students make their commitments to invite students from the wait list for admission, then we'll do that. So yeah, there's no exact answer. It depends each year based on the applicant pool. But yeah, apply for sure if you're meeting requirements. And if you aren't in a place where you're able to tag a campus, I think, well, even if you are tagging, it's still always good to just apply broadly. Keep some options open. You never know how things are going to shape up as you go, or if you change your mind. And so it's a good idea to apply to a variety of places so you have different options. And then I see, does tag also fill up as well? No, tag is a guarantee. So if you tag and you meet the requirements of the tag and you hold up your end of the bargain, then you are absolutely guaranteed a place at that campus as long as you fulfill those conditions. All right, everyone. Well, we are past time, so I am going to go ahead and end this. We're going to sign off. Thank you so much for coming, and have a good evening, everyone.